Hello.
Hey everyone.
It's us again.
Yeah. Corey was like, didn't we just do this morning? That is time. Time is just so
Living in the now really makes time non-existent.
It really does. It's so weird. So Corey and I have been like just sitting here talking for a little while, and it's been really good. We've had a lot of things come up between us, but I thought we'd talk about something that we both have had experiences with this week. And so I received a message yesterday from a friend, from someone who had come across one of my clips that I shared about sexual abuse and just healing and recovery from sexual abuse. And she just opened up to me, and she became vulnerable and shared things about her life and what she's going through in her healing process. And it truly brought me to tears. I just started crying, so many tears of just gratitude. I didn't feel heaviness because she's like on a healing journey herself. And so I didn't take on her stuff. I felt such compassion for her, and for that she has also experienced sexual abuse, and that she's also healing, and she's experiencing things that I have not experienced, but she shared those things with me. And like I said, I just was it was just crying so many tears of so much gratitude that Heavenly Father that he would use me, that he would use all of my pain, all of my suffering, all of the things that have been heavy in my life and that have hurt me personally, that he would use that he would alchemize that he would heal me in a way that I'm able to voice it and share it and become vulnerable, so that I can also be a tool for him to bring hope and healing to other people. And it was just, her words were just so touching to me, and it just made me realize that, it's so about the one. And what it also made me realize is that, like, we just, this is someone that I know, like, I know her, but it made me realize how much we don't know one another. We really don't. And until we become vulnerable and we open up ourselves, we open up our lives, we open up the stories from our lives and the things that we've experienced, and we just share these things with one another, like, that's when we can really get to know people and we can help one another to heal. Because I'm just learning for myself that the greatest healing that has been coming into my life is through the things that I share about. As I share it, it just releases it from my body, and it is so healing. And it's just having those connections with other people and finding those people, like, we're drawn to one another, and we're able to help one another heal. And what works for me and my journey and what I'm experiencing, it may not work for another person, but we won't know unless we're talking and unless we're sharing, and we're sharing the resources and the things that have helped us. I don't know. It's just been really awesome to recognize and think about.
It is. It's amazing how everything just shatters. I mean, people just are vulnerability just releases vulnerability. It's amazing. Whenever you are true, whenever you are really transparent, whenever you really just put it out there, and you're able to just say, this is some stuff I've been through, and this is who I am. It's like, that's stuff I've done, but this is who I am. And I think it's just, it almost gives people like this inspiration, like, I can heal too, but I have to talk about it, because obviously that's what she did. It's so healing to allow people to know that you're just not perfect, and that I'm just never going to be. But today I'm happy because I'm not holding on to that stuff. when you were talking, something that crossed my mind is most people that know Dad, and I know Dad doesn't like talking about him, and we talk about him quite a bit, but he's never said anything about on here because nobody knows him on here really. Maybe, I don't know who watches, but in my life I have, like, I don't know if I've ever seen him do anything that I wouldn't, like, I'd say, well, that wasn't right. That wasn't, I've known him 46 years on Immortality, but he said something the other day that was just like, wow. When you were like 7 years old, you stole a watermelon? You're not perfect.
He shared that story with me too. Yeah.
But he threw that out there, and I was like, he said something else that I'm not going to put out there, but it's like he's sharing these little things about his life that aren't perfect, but he probably has kept those things inside him thinking my kids are going to think I'm a bad. It's like, you stole a watermelon when you were like not even a teenager yet. Maybe he was a teenager. Maybe he was 17 and that's why he feels really bad about it. I don't know. I can make up any story, but it's funny that people want to just, our ego wants us to look like we have it all together, that we just got it all together. And you know, like, my life today is pretty simple. I don't have much drama. I don't have much to worry about. But I did have the experience of, you know, working with somebody that's going through recovery, like getting off of Mojo, of all things. It's still around, if anybody knows about that. But got him into rehab today. But he was really beating himself up, and he was just so down on himself. And I stopped him right there, and I said, "Have you used today?" And he hadn't used in a couple of days. And I said, "Well, then what's wrong?" He's like, "Well, I relapsed." I said, "No, wait. Did you relapse today?" "No, I haven't used today." I said, "Well, then what's the problem?" "Yeah, well, I had 9 months clean." You still have 9 months clean. That does not change. That did not go anywhere. You've still made a lot of progress. You have not been working on yourself, but today, you know, where are you? And he's like, "Well, I haven't used." I said, "Well, then just be happy. Forgive yourself. Let go of it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's in the past." And it's like his whole, all of a sudden he was excited to go to rehab. He's like, "I am going to go and I'm going to work on myself. I need to just figure some things out. I'm all in. I'm going." Because he was talking about, oh, it's going to be a couple days before bed comes up. And before I left, bed was ready this morning at 11, and he's in rehab, and he's working on himself. But if I had chosen to remain this LDS guy that doesn't want anybody to know about his past, because what are people going to think about the Mormon boy that went all the way down that path? Oh no. He wouldn't have been able to reach out to me. He wouldn't have been able to say, "Corey, last night at midnight or later, Corey, I need you to stop by. I haven't been doing well." It's like, he would not have reached out to me, because he wouldn't have, if I had not opened myself up to him and allowed him to know who I am, then it's impossible for others to, it's not impossible. Somebody has to do it though. And I choose to do it. I choose to allow myself to be vulnerable so that other people that are in pain don't have to stay there, because I have been given that gift to get out of it. I don't know if I'm...
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that is one of the biggest things about, I guess, the 12-step. I mean, I'm not in like the 12-step recovery. Like, I don't go to those meetings and stuff, but it's all the same. recovering, it takes you from a place of being a victim and being in it and doing all of the addictive stuff. It takes you through this process of being a victim to being a survivor and then being a thriver. Like, even in the survivor place, there's just so much. I mean, there's always work. There's going to be continuous work throughout our lives, because we're human, and we just will always have things that come up. Especially as we step into recovery later in our lives. Like, if we could get our teenagers and our young people, learning about these things and doing these practices and incorporating just this peace and gratitude and just all this stuff, disconnecting so much from the world.
Like trauma recovery, not drug recovery.
Yeah.
Beat
just
them there.
all of it. Yeah. If we just get them started younger, it's like they're not going to have as much to recover from in their life, because as we live in our traumas, they just get deeper and deeper and deeper. And those behaviors and the patterns, they just become, we identify so strongly with them. And it's like, that is me. That is who I am. We start to take it on as ourselves, and it's like, and it's just not true. We just believe a lot of lies. And to something that I recognized this past week, with my own personal patterns of codependency, is whenever we're stuck, whenever we live a life of suffering, and our mind constantly takes us in these loops of suffering, like, it's just crazy. It's like we are addicted to suffering. Our minds get addicted to it, to our thinking, to ways of thinking. And I've recognized myself this past week, like, getting caught. Like, these thoughts will come into my mind, and I'll attach to them, and it's been causing me to feel some heaviness, and I'm so like I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm so aware today, whenever, like, I am off, I'm like, okay, what is happening? And it's usually my thoughts. It's usually, where are my thoughts taking me? And it's because I have such patterns of codependency within me that I really have in the past. That it has been behaviors where I take on people's stuff, and I feel heavy for them and with them, and I was just recognizing that I was back in that, and I was like, I don't have to, I don't have to feel this heaviness.
You had a little relapse?
I did. I had a relapse with those codependent thinking, and for a couple days. Yes, it's like, it's not just drugs that we relapse on. It's really not. It's just our ways of being. And
no, drugs are the end of it all.
Right.
It's recognizing the relapse before the actual relapse happens.
Yeah.
It's great to be aware that you were becoming codependent again.
Yeah, and it's really, I think it's so challenging with children, because our children are we just want our children to have happiness and joy and peace. I want everybody to have what I have, and it comes with a lot of work. It comes with a lot of self-awareness. It comes with, like, really wanting it, like your friend going into recovery. It's like, when a person is forced to go to recovery, the family forces them, it's pushed, it's like there's this resistance, and when we enter something with resistance, it doesn't work. But whenever we open ourselves up and we're like, I want this, I want to learn, I'm curious, like, show me, what do I need to see to change myself, because what I've been doing is not working. And so we have to be open to it.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. He asked me to be his sponsor. I was like, yeah, I would love to be your sponsor.
That's awesome.
And he said, well, listen, I need you to stay close to me. And I was like, well, just do your thing and we'll get it done.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was I was going on with the thought, and then I got sidetracked with being in recovery. Like I had said, we're in that victim mode and then the survivor. And then as we're thriving, as we get to that point, we're then able to turn around and serve in ways that we've never been able to serve before. Like
Not when you're surviving.
I've served people all my whole life, but it's a whole different kind of service whenever we get to the other side. And yeah,
It's really hard to be of service and fully of service if you're just surviving.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to survive,
yeah.
but to thrive and to actually live and be happy, you have a lot to share. You have a lot that you can give to others. And the program, like the 12-step program, I haven't been going to that many meetings. I go every week. I haven't missed a week, and I don't even know. Maybe in Minnesota I missed a week. But I didn't. I actually went into a meeting, but I didn't stay for it. But anyway, telling on myself. At the meeting that I went to, it was so just wonderful. I mean, it was the exact meeting I needed, and I brought him there for him. And then I've got one person there talking about how they're going through drug court. They're entering phase 4. It's almost over. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I'm so grateful I'm not in drug court after all the years that I did that stuff. And then another one started sharing about how he's going to be getting off of probation soon, and he's so excited about that. And I'm just thinking, man, that's a really difficult position to be in. You're about to be responsible for your life.
Yeah.
And I know what happened to me whenever I was given a long rope, So I was just very grateful that I was there, and it was awesome. It was one of those things they call a God thing, It's like it was more for me than it was for him. But back to what you started with, the being vulnerable. Vulnerability, I think, is the way to heal the world. If a person can just be genuine and say, just follow their intuition with the person they're with and open up about anything, whatever it is that you feel is about to flow through you, and you just let it out, not vomiting on anybody or trying to burden somebody with anything, but you're just saying, I went through this when I was younger. I went through this last year. Well, that is opening a door for that person to say, I mean, they might not do it then, but maybe a week, a month, a year later, they'll be like, I went through this. And it's like, you're the only person that they can tell this to, because you're the only person that's told them that you experienced something similar to it. And as I was talking to you, I know a few families where I'm on the outside, and I know a lot of people within these families, and I know secrets about every single person in the family, and nobody in the family knows anything about each other. And it's like, if y'all would just drop your ego and say, okay, everybody has something. Everybody struggles with something, but we want to look perfect, or better than, or whatever it is, whatever our ego is trying to cause the world to perceive. What my ego, I've always wanted to have that perfect look, and I know where that brought me. The ego is very powerful. But if one person in a family can just say, you know what? I am completely at peace with the fact that whatever it is that person feels guilty within their little family unit, if they can just let it out and say, hey, family, this is what I do, and I'm at peace with it. I'm at peace with my higher power, and it brings me happiness, and I have peace, and I love my life, and I hope that y'all will continue to be a part of my life. Well, all of a sudden, your brother comes to you and says, man, I'm so grateful you told me that, because I've been struggling with pornography for 20 years. It's like, what? I thought you were like, what? You know, I mean, stuff will just start coming out, and it's like, you're shocked. But just to say it again, a number of families I personally know where I am not in the position to speak for anybody, but I know that every member has these secrets, and nobody in the family knows each other, but they all get together and they put on their face, and then they go do their things that they do so that they can get together and put up with each other instead of love each other and be at peace with each other. And it is sad that even a small family unit is fake and sick. I say fake, they're genuine, they love each other, it's real, they love each other, but ego and not wanting to let people down and not wanting to show your imperfections and be vulnerable and say, Mom, Dad, you know, how much of my life could I have helped if I could have said, I need help? But we don't. We want to be strong. Our ego wants to convince us that we can do it on our own. But I can't do it on my own.
It's that shame. It's the shame and the secrecy. It's there when you have shame that is so deep. I mean, you're going to do anything that you can to keep it covered. And the amazing thing about it is that with that ego and shame, as soon as you voice it, I mean, it's just gone. And it's like, it's just, yeah.
So relieving.
It really is. I mean, but we're all so fearful of the shame, and it's like, why? Like, what do we think is going to happen? What do we think is going to happen if we open our voice? That people aren't going to like us, that we're going to like be ostracized, that like what is that fear? And it's the ego. It's the fear that is created within us that keeps us sick. And for me, my personal beliefs, it's the adversary. It's the evilness, the uncleanness, the negative polarity, the negative energy, the heavy, whatever words you want to use. It's all of that is trying so hard to just keep us down, keep us stuck, keep us hating ourselves. Because if we're hating ourselves and we're in shame and we're in all this stuff and we're hiding and we're minimizing and we're rationalizing, we're just all of that stuff, it keeps us from being able to just open up and bloom and blossom and be light and share vulnerability and heal for ourselves, and then help others come into healing. The adversary does not want that. He does not want that.
He loves broken families.
Broken families are the best for him.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we can just recognize that it's not going to kill us, you know, and that's another thing, is that I recognize that this month is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month.
I didn't know that.
I just found out today. And you know, so many people get to the point where it is the shame of whatever has happened to a person's life. It will bring them to such deep, dark places where they feel completely alone, and the voices in their head tell them they're alone, tell them that there's not, like, the fears, the doubts, just all of it, all of the darkness, all of the heaviness becomes too much, that a person gets to the point where they would rather not live, and they feel like it would actually be better for everyone else around them if they weren't even alive. That is where the mental illness can take
doing
people.
Everyone a favor.
Yeah. not realizing truly that, like, there is so much hope. There is so much healing. There's just so much peace that can come to us whenever we just step into vulnerability, whenever we just reach out to somebody, whoever. I mean, there are hotlines, there are groups, there are churches, there's so many communities online now. Like, you can find communities for anything that you have an issue with. You could just go do a search and you're gonna find other people who can relate to you. Like, we do not have to be alone. And as we step into that vulnerability and we just open ourselves, it kills the shame. It does. And we can step into, like, there is light, there is hope, there is healing. And I mean, I have been under my covers in bed for weeks, in that suicidal frame of mind, in that not wanting to be in this world, just not wanting to exist, not wanting to breathe, praying, just take me out of this. You know, I've been there, and it's like, so I get it, I understand it, and today I cannot wait to wake up. Like, I don't even want to go to sleep at night because I just love my days. I want to live the fullest of my days. I wake up in so much gratitude. I just see so many miracles. And, you know, that doesn't mean that life is easy. It doesn't mean that challenges don't come. You know, I have people around me who have a lot of struggles, who are going through a lot of things. There's a lot of addiction around me. I mean, life is still life, and I'm surrounded by people who have problems. I have problems, you know, but they don't affect me the way that they have in the past, because, and I truly believe it's because of Christ, because of his light, because of his healing, because of, like, the more that I turn to him, I seek him, I want to learn about him, the more I immerse myself in things that just feel good, and just higher.
Give it to him.
Yeah, just surrendering, and just thanking, just being in so much gratitude. Yeah, I mean, yesterday I just kept having to surrender some things, like with my codependency. I just kept having to surrender it. Like, he knows what is best. He knows, like, I got so stuck in my mind with like a situation, and I was like, oh, it didn't go how I thought it should have gone, and, you know, and things, and I was worried about
just
stuff.
How it was
and I was like,
to.
God is so perfect. Like, things happen perfectly how he sees that they need to happen. So why am I in my little brain thinking,
wanting to micromanage
Yes.
God's plan?
Yes, and I'm like, just surrender it.
Stop being God.
Yes.
He does it better.
He does. And whenever I recognized that I was in that kind of thinking, I was just like, I'm addicted. I am addicted to that way of thinking, and I don't have to be today. And whenever I surrendered it, I was like, oh, thank you. It just, that heaviness, it just all left. And it can be that fast. It can just be that fast.
It is. It was amazing yesterday with my buddy that when I came in, he was so down. He was just beating himself up. You could tell he was taking a big dump on a pity potty. I mean, he was just beating himself up, and you could tell his girlfriend was over there kind of riding that same wave. And I just put it out there, like I've said. It's like, he's like, I just feel so shameful. I'm so guilty of this and that. The guilt. I mean, he literally said shame and guilt, the two words. And I said, what are you guilty of? What are you ashamed of? I mean, what have you done today? Well, no, like literally, what have you done today? Got up, I came here. Okay. You've had a good day, man. Keep it up. Let's do this tomorrow. You know, just, it's so funny how we just want to beat ourselves up about
And hold on to the past.
something that is not even ever going to be able to touch me yesterday unless I let it in here, because it has no control over us at all. I love that I can be a conduit, that people can open up to me and feel safe and vulnerable with me. And on top of that, I have become aware, and we've talked about this, I have been very codependent in my life. I always thought my main issue was drug addiction, that I was the addict and everyone else was the codependent. But once you start moving in the other direction, codependency is a pretty powerful thing. But and I'm not perfect at this by any means, but I have really worked on being able to feel what a person is sharing and just send back love and maybe a suggestion if they want it, you know. And if they don't, I'm good with just receiving and sending love. And it's very powerful. It's very powerful to be able to listen to somebody and not try and fix them. The only thing I wanted to do with him, the only thing that I work on doing with addicts is saying, you didn't do it today. That's all that matters. And you always hear the 1 day at a time thing in AA. Well, that's all anybody of 8 billion people plus on earth has, is 1 day at a time. All we have is today. So if we sit around beating ourselves up about yesterday or embarrassed about something we did, your embarrassment of, I'm sorry, I'm not pointing with this pen, but your embarrassment of the things you've done could save somebody's life by letting go of your ego and saying, I did this. I was a porn addict for 20 years, or I was a drug addict for 20 years, or I was raped. I raped somebody. Whatever, I killed somebody. I mean, I've had somebody tell me that. As a sponsor this year, I've had somebody tell me that they killed somebody cold-blooded and went to prison for 20 years. I mean, that's vulnerable. That's very vulnerable. But that person can probably reach people that very few people can reach if he's willing to say that's not who he is, and he can continue to heal and stay clean and just share his experience. We all have so many experiences that can heal the world, one person at a time. And you always hear that, but every single person has experienced something that another person can relate to, even if it's a completely different subject. They can relate to it because it's pain. And you were willing to share your pain, and now they are open to maybe someday sharing their pain with you. It's beautiful. And when we let God take over and we're no longer trying to control and put on an image, and it's just, it's very healing and it's very freeing.
It is, and as we release all that pain, it is filled with grace, and it's filled with love, and we just begin to love. We begin to just love ourselves so much, and then we're able to love everyone around us. It's just such a beautiful, miraculous thing that God has given us in this life experience that, you know, He knew. He knew what it was going to be for us. He understood it, and I love it. I truly love the whole process that we get to have. We get to have all these experiences, these extreme experiences of such deep depths of pain and suffering and sadness and depression, anxiety, all of those heavy, hard, painful things. We get to experience that in this life. That's why we're here. And the beautiful thing is that we are here to have joy. We are here to experience happiness and bliss and just all of that goodness, but we could not understand it. We could not feel it. We would not even know what it is if we did not suffer, if we did not experience the opposite. We are in a world of polarity, and it's coming to understand that we would rather, we choose to live the light. We want the joy, we want the bliss. So we just don't make choices anymore that are the opposite polarity. We choose not to go the negative, heavy, dark side because we know what it's like. We've made those choices. We know that it's so much more peaceful. It just feels so much better to be facing and seeking and receiving. And that is a huge thing. That is such a huge thing, is to be open to receiving it. We have to receive it. And God is just like flows it into our lives whenever we open ourselves. We surrender all of it. And we just receive what he has to give us. And it's just amazing because it is such a flow of grace that just cleanses us. And he helps us. I mean, it is a process. He helps us to clear out, to get all that rubble, all those blocks, all those stones, all this stuff that we talk about, the guilt, the shame, just all of it. Like those things are within us. It's within our bodies from our experiences, and they have to be purified. It has to be processed.
If you want to be healthy.
If you want to live in joy, if you want to live with peace and love in your life, you can.
Yeah.
You can.
And on top of that, last week I was depressed. Last week I went through
happens.
4 days of depression, but I was happy. I really, truly, I went out and worked. I kept my blinds open. I did things. I read. I meditated. I continued to do what I do. But I was melancholy, or whatever that feeling is. We call it depression. I'm not. I don't even know if I want to call it depression. Yeah, depression is something that we experience. It's a part of this seasons, and mine is usually around this time of year. And usually, it gets really hard. I know my seasons. I don't need to throw them out there, but I do know that I am on a cycle. If it's controlled by the moon and the stars and the oceans, I don't know. I've got my own beliefs on that. But I do feel it. I feel it within my body. And I was able to sit in it. I wrote about it. I read about it. I went to meetings. I visited with Kelly. I just kept living my life, and I was joyful. I was happy. I am experiencing the plan of happiness in my life. Even when I'm going through a period of infinite sadness, or whatever you want to call it. Who was that? Smashing Pumpkins? It's not like I have to say, oh, I'm depressed. I'm closing the blinds. I'm going to go eat a bunch of ice cream. I'm going to just climb in bed and be depressed for a week. And then I really get depressed because my life is sucking.
Right. Yeah.
But instead, I can just kind of be sad and go about my day and be happy. I can be happy when I'm sad. And you know what's amazing is when I was feeling depressed, that was last week, when I would go out and I would compliment somebody, even as depressed as I was, it just felt good. It just felt good. And it's that simple. Maybe I was depressed about my best friend Yeah, that's probably what it was about. I'm just processing it right now. My best friend died of a drug overdose. My childhood best friend.
Oh.
Just a year or two after his older brother died the exact same way.
Oh, well, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
They lived across the little creek from us in Riverwood.
Yeah.
So, I didn't even
Yes.
think about it, but that's obviously a reason to feel some sadness.
Absolutely.
You know, thinking about riding around in the boat, going down the Tchefuncte as teenagers and
Yeah.
doing what teenage boys do.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
And that's the thing about it, is that like life, we're in life, and life is going to happen, and things are going to happen. We're going to experience loss. We're going to experience just life experience, and it's gonna affect us. It's going to bring up feelings. It's going to bring up emotions. It's going to bring up memories, triggers. It's going to bring up flashbacks. I mean, things are just going to happen, and it's just being in a place, like you said, where we just continue to do good, healthy things for ourselves, and not allow ourselves to get like sucked into it, drawn into it. And as we are living how we live, you know, it's just, we're just so much more aware of it and accepting of it, and just allowing it, and not beating ourselves up about it and judging it. And it's just a whole different way.
It is. Something that I loved, this is the last thing I'm going to say, you can finish up. The last thing I want to say is, it felt so good to be able to tell my 9 and 12-year-old this weekend, I have no secrets from y'all. You can ask me anything. And I really feel that way. I really feel like there's nothing that I need to hide from them. There's nothing I've done that's going to traumatize them more than driving off the road with them in the seat, or having a branch come through the window with them in the car, knowing dad's loaded, driving around. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that's what an addict does. But today in my life, they can ask me anything. And I told them, I said, you know, they'll sometimes like feel like they're out of place, and I say, look, I have no secrets. If I'm in the bathroom, you might not want to just open the door, but I have no secrets at all. And my 9-year-old she really felt good about that. And then she was like, Dad, I have a secret. When you asked if your breath stunk this morning, it stunk. I was like, well, you did catch me first thing in the morning, so thank you.
That's so funny.
It is. It's
And
funny.
it's just so awesome.
It's a sign. It's something that simple. A 9-year-old was able to admit that she lied.
Yes.
That's a little bit of vulnerability.
Yes.
Because a 9-year-old doesn't want to admit when they lie.
No, not at all. No.
Vulnerability
it's just
can
awesome.
change the world.
And it's awesome as we're doing that, as we're doing this work, like your children, it is impacting, it's influencing their lives, and they're seeing it, and it's changing their lives. And that's really what it's all about. It's, you know, just starting out, just as we're vulnerable, it just helps other people around us to be vulnerable. It really does. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful. Like, it takes a lot of courage and bravery to be vulnerable, and I've never seen myself like that. Like, I in the past, like, I would never say that I have courage or I'm brave or anything, but you know, I can say today that I am coming into that, like, where I can recognize that yeah, it's hard, but I have been brave, and you know, and I say affirmations to myself all the time, and as we do that, we become it. Like, we become it, and it's so amazing. And it's not even me. I feel like it's not even me. I feel it like it's the Spirit. Like, I've surrendered my life to the Spirit and to God, and it's them. They're doing it for me. And so I can take no, like, it is not me.
Your ego wants to take control, but stay aware.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I love it. And it can be the same for anybody out there. I am not special, although I am special. We are each special, but we are not special. Like, that's the thing about it.
We are all so amazing.
We are, and we can all have joy in this life. We can, no matter what depths and darkness, and no matter where you are today in your life, like you can, there is hope, and you can have joy, you can have peace.
Offspring of deity.
Yeah, totally.
We are children of God. Literally. In what I believe. And it feels good.
It does.
So go ahead and admit our imperfections to those we love, and we might just help them out in life.
Mm-hmm.
Life is good.
It is. Thanks
Love
y'all for listening if you did this long. Hope y'all have a great day. Bye y'all.